Hello, my name is Sally Caselli. The following is a comprehensive tutorial on using Windows 11. We will start with the very basics and then proceed with more advanced features in order to master using Windows 11. I have designed this tutorial with a user in mind so that one can effectively master using Windows 11 for personal use or in the workplace. This tutorial can come in handy for teachers to teach using Windows 11, or it can be used also for employee training. As you watch the video, please consider referencing the quick guide posted in the video description. The best way to learn using Windows 11 is to also practice the described features hands-on while you watch the video. As soon as you log into the system, one of the first things that you will notice is that the taskbar layout has changed. It has changed in the location and also the items in the taskbar. Also, the options as part of the taskbar have changed. You have the Start menu, the Search option, major improvement in Windows 11, the virtual desktops, and I'll get into more later as to how that works, the widgets, the integration of Microsoft Teams, chat, and video conferencing as part of the operating system, getting to the web using Microsoft Edge, Windows File Explorer, and then access to email. And this is part of the revamped user interface or UI. You have a completely different color scheme and layout of the components in Windows 11. You'll notice the rounded corners here. The login and logout has been changed, so it looks different here. And even the shutting down of the computer, it's now in a new location here in the Start menu. There are also some behind-the-scenes features and enhancements to the operating system. With the emergence of the larger monitors and so on, now Windows allows you to resize a window by simply holding the mouse on the maximize button here for any of the applications, and you can choose a particular layout of your monitor. There are enhancements related to gaming. There is a gaming mode, also widgets. So if you click here on widgets, the taskbar is typically one of the tools of an operating system that it's used as a quick way to launch specific operating system functions. So you want to get to settings, for example. You want to get to launch the different applications or launch your files. So you need a way to get started. So in this case, here in Windows 11, the taskbar is this set of icons here in the bottom. Now it's in the middle of the screen. Now let's get to some of the components of the taskbar here, and then we'll get into how to customize the taskbar. So one of the first options here is a Start menu. You'll notice that the Start menu has been revamped to the new user interface, or you can navigate pinned applications as part of your options here or the display. You can get to all the apps in the operating system from here, or there are also recommended apps as well, or what you have used recently. The next part of the taskbar is the search menu. So if we go here to click on search, and by the way, you can get to the search as well by pressing the Windows key on the keyboard, and it will launch the same thing. The third option here is the virtual desktops. So virtual desktops is a functionality where you can launch specific programs on a workspace. So right now I have here my, let's say, Word, let's say 5 or 6 programs, but then all of a sudden I need to meet with a client. And instead of me having to clear my desktop and having to prepare my desktop to share my screen and so on, I can come down here to the virtual desktops area, click on it, and create a new virtual desktop. Now at this point, it's going to be a clean start. I can follow up with a client, work with them, open new applications, and switch between the multiple virtual desktops in a very easy way by retaining the previous settings. Now for me to go back to the previous desktop, I can simply click here on or hold the mouse on virtual desktops icon and then switch to my first virtual desktop where I'll get access to my apps and settings and things like that. The other cool feature as part of the new Windows taskbar is the widgets. To access the widgets, you can click on widgets here, and then you can have the weather, you can have the Outlook calendar reminders, sports, and you can add other widgets of your preference as well, such as traffic and so on. And if you scroll down, there is news and additional stock updates and things of that nature. To the right of this, there is the chat, Microsoft Teams, video conferencing, chatting as part of this operating system. Then next here, by default, you'll have access to Microsoft Edge, which is one of the web browsers, obviously. Then you have the File Explorer, and I'll get into more of those concepts shortly, and then email. Now to customize those settings for the taskbar, you can right-click on it and choose Taskbar Settings. Now notice one thing that is different from previous versions is that you don't have the task manager and a whole bunch of other options. You simply have now the task settings. Under task settings, this is where you can customize whether you want search to show up as part of the taskbar, whether you want the task view to show up, like those buttons that we saw down here, whether you want them to be displayed or not. Now, if you have a touch screen, you might want to enable the option for pen menu. Now, in most cases, that would be enabled, but if it's not, this is where you enable it. If you don't like the taskbar in the center here, how Microsoft has set it by default, you can change it to be on the left, and it will be very similar to the Windows 10 or Windows 7. If you have multiple displays, you can control whether you want your taskbar to show up on all displays, and this you'd have to have a check mark in here for that. Now, as part of the taskbar, there is also in the Start menu area here, if you right-click on it, you have a bunch of options very similar to the old Windows 10 and Windows 7, where you can get to certain key areas in your computer. So for example, if you need to check the disk management, or if you want to check the computer management devices and resources in your computer, or if you want to get to the task manager, this is how you now get to it. And or the run command that it used to be before. And even shut down and restart the computer, it's by right-clicking on the Start menu. On the far right, you have this Quick Action Center, and we'll get into that later as well. But for now, here is where you can configure and connect to the Wi-Fi, airplane mode, and then change accessibility settings, things related to the battery, and so on. So this is kind of the quick settings for your desktop. To change your time clock in your computer, you can do it from here, along with adjustments of the notification settings while you are focusing on work. Here on the taskbar, you have the Start menu. Click on it. On the top, you have the search. You can simply start typing, and it will search for apps. It will search for files in your computer or even web pages. Right below, you have here the pinned applications. These are common applications that either Microsoft has pinned and made them more obvious for you to access, or there are applications that you can pin and they will be available for quick use for you in the future. To access all the applications in your computer, you click on All Apps here, and it will display all your applications, and you can search for them or just simply browse. At the bottom half of the screen here, you have some of the recommended items, either files or applications that you have used. At the very bottom of the Start menu, you have your account. So this is where you can lock the computer, you can sign out of the computer, or sign in to a different account, so switch accounts. On the far right here, this is the option where you can power off the computer, or restart it, or hibernate, or put the computer into sleep mode. Again, the Start menu is just a mechanism for you to browse the various applications in your computer and some of the key functions in the computer, such as logging out. Let's say that I want an application to show up as part of my start menu, to show up in this area. So let's say I want Excel. So to do that, I can simply search here for Excel, or I could have navigated to the list of all programs, and here you choose to pin it to Start Menu. Now this, if we click back on the Start Menu, you'll notice that Excel has been added to the list. Let's say that I want an application to show up also on the taskbar on the very bottom here, so I can always have quicker access to it. To do that, you simply search for the program first, and then you right-click on the app or whatever it is, and you choose to pin to the taskbar. From this time on, Microsoft Word will be part of the taskbar where I can launch it very easily. If for some reason I changed my mind, you can right-click on it and choose to unpin it from the taskbar. So the desktop is simply an area where you can place various icons in order to launch programs in your computer. And in a lot of other cases, you can place shortcuts to a website or even shortcuts to files. So in this case, we have a bunch of the icons or programs here on the left. Now the difference here is that in order for me to open an application from here, for example Microsoft Edge, I need to double click on these icons to open them up. While from the taskbar here in the bottom, if I'm launching something from the taskbar, I'll click only one time in order to open that application. As you install different programs, different icons will show up on the desktop. What shows up on the desktop depends on whether the application has been configured by default to put an icon on the desktop. You can customize the view of it by simply right-clicking on it, and notice you have a bunch of the options here. You can change the view to have larger icons or different types of icons, and whether to arrange the icons on your desktop a certain way, align them, and even to show or not show the icons on the desktop. Also, you can create new shortcuts or new folders on the desktop. So if I want a new text document there, I can just simply click on New here, choose New Document or New Excel document, whatever I want, and there it is. Now, of course, to move those things around, you can drag them wherever you want them. To delete an icon from the desktop, that is quite obvious. You simply select it and you press Delete. One of the key components of the desktop is also the access to the recycle bin. So typically, anytime you delete something from your computer, it's going to put it automatically in a recycle bin. So if you wanted to retrieve something from a recycle bin, you can double click on it, and then it will display what you have recently deleted. Here I can right click on it and choose to restore it. Now to customize the desktop, right click here on the desktop, choose to personalize it. And then under personalize, this is where you can change a lot of the different settings, such as the color themes, the lock screen, and taskbar items and things like that, fonts and so on. And obviously here we are personalizing the background and so on. So you can pick different backgrounds, photos, change those contrasts. Another functionality that you can access through the desktop by right-clicking anywhere on the screen. Here you can also choose to change the display settings. If I wanted to change the font size on the monitor, the resolution, and so on, this is where I'll make those changes. If I right-click again on the desktop, notice there are some additional options here, and this is more like a look and feel what used to be on Windows 10. Opening an application and managing an application from Windows 11. Now this is a very basic concept that most of you have used, but yet if somebody is for the first time trying to understand the Windows 11 operating system, this would potentially help. So to launch an application, if the application is already on the taskbar, you can simply click on it and single click and it will open up. for example, here Microsoft Edge. If I wanted to open an application from the Start menu, you just simply click on Start and then pick the application from here or under the All Apps. So in that case, I'm simply finding it and then clicking on it and then launching it. If the application is also listed on the desktop and you want to launch it from the desktop, here you'd have to double click instead of single clicking. One of the features in Windows 11 in any application actually is that on the top right here typically you have these controls. Now on a MacBook or in a Mac OS, those controls would be on the left hand side. You can minimize this app by clicking on the little minus icon on the bottom left, and it will bring it down to the taskbar, and you can get a preview or relaunch it by clicking on it again. The other option here is this minimize maximize option. What you see here on the screen, this is the new feature in Windows 11. And this allows you, with the emergence of the larger desktops, you simply hold the mouse on the icon here, on the middle one, and then you can select to park this application in half of your screen or a certain position of your screen. So if I wanted just on the bottom right, top corner, a fourth of the screen, I'll click on this, and now it's only on that part of the screen. And then I can have something else on a different part of the screen. So that's another option where you can adjust the display depending on what you want. To close the application, you can simply click here on the X on the top right, and that is standard with other versions. In some cases, when you are working on an application, it crashed on you, and you just need to somehow make sure to close it without rebooting the computer, one of the ways to do that is to access or to close the application from the taskbar. So let's say the application is here, somehow it's misbehaving. Now I need to get to the taskbar to close it. To access a taskbar, and by the way this has changed, you right click here on the Windows icon and you click on Task Manager. Or you can simply go to the search option and type Task Manager. And now this will give you typically something like this. It will show up Task Manager and the apps that you currently have opened. So if I wanted to end this application forcefully, I'll click on the application and then choose End Task. In some cases, that application may not show up in this list, and then in that case, you can click here on More Details and then find the application and choose End Task. To find it, you'll click here on Processes. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to go over how to switch between applications in Windows 11. The process is very much the same as previous versions of Windows, but for the purpose of understanding how the Windows 11 operating system works, I'll cover it here as well. So let's say we have two or more applications opened, and we need to switch between them. And we have only one monitor. Let's say I wanted to switch to Word. One of the options is to simply go to the taskbar here in the bottom and then click on Word and switch between the two. If I have more than two applications opened, obviously the process is going to be very much the same. So I'd go to the taskbar and switch between the applications here on the bottom. Another way to switch between the applications is to hold down the Alt key on the keyboard and then press Tab. This will display all the applications running currently on this computer. And then at this point, I can keep on pressing Tab and switch to a different application, or while I'm holding the Alt key, I can go and click on a specific one to switch to it. Earlier, I also covered that you can switch and have multiple desktops or multiple virtual desktops as well. If I want to switch to a completely different desktop, I'll go here to the bottom and switch to a new desktop, desktop 2, let's say, and from here I can launch a whole new setup, a variety of applications. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to go over briefly how to use Windows Search. Windows Search, it's actually one of the cool, powerful features of the upgraded Windows operating system. Instead of you having to scroll and locate a various application and identify where it is and so on, you can click here on Search and simply start typing. That will search for apps, it will search for all the components in the computer, it will search for documents, the web, and people, photos, videos, and so on here. Those search options can be customized by clicking here on these three dots or options icon on the far right, and then you can customize various icons and also customize the search settings as well. The search, you can launch it directly here by clicking on the Windows icon, or you can press the Windows key and then simply start typing. So you type the name of the application and then you just simply click on it and it will bring it up. The other thing you can do is that you can search for settings in your computer. So let's say you wanted to change the display settings. You go here to the display area or any of the display components, and then you can change the various settings in here, like the scaling and so on. Another example would be, for example, the Wi-Fi. If you're not sure how to connect to the Wi-Fi, you can type Wi-Fi or wireless and then click on it and it will take you to your Wi-Fi settings. So the idea is, again, anytime you need something, instead of having to know where it is located, you can simply search for it with an approximate word and the system will bring up that particular file or that particular setting or that particular application. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to go over some of the features of Windows Explorer and Windows File Management. Some of those concepts may be very basic to you, but are very key in understanding how the operating system works and how to use Windows 11 effectively in the workplace. Think of File Explorer as a mechanism to access the files that you have created in your computer or the files from the various applications in your computer. To access File Explorer, click here on the taskbar File Explorer. At the top you have some of the common functions such as copy, paste, and so on. Notice that those icons look slightly different here. Then you have the view options, whether you want to view the items as a list or whether you want to view them in large icons and so on. And then you have additional settings here under this configuration option on the top right. By default, it will open at Quick Access. Quick Access is basically going to give you the recent files and folders that you have accessed most recently. On the far right, you can search for whatever is being displayed here in this bottom area. Below Quick Access, we have the desktop option. Desktop, it's simply going to display any of the items or folders that we had created or added to the desktop. So if we create a folder, a file or a folder in there on the desktop, that's where those icons or those items will show up. Downloads will be stuff that we have downloaded from the web, from the various browsers. Documents, this would be work documents that are stored in your computer. Now, it's important for you to understand that pictures or documents and so on, those are components as part of your Windows profile. Now, if you have multiple users log into your computer, each user would have their own separate desktop, separate documents area, separate pictures area. And the way you find that is by going here under this PC, and then if you go under the C drive, typically it's a C drive where the files are stored, and you go under users, then here is where you can see all the different users in this particular computer. So if I go here under this account, notice I have desktop, I have documents, I have downloads, and these are the exact replica of what's being displayed here on the left-hand side. So these are actually on the left-hand side, are just a shortcut to what we see here on the right-hand side. You can use this also for backing up files on a flash drive or external drive, or however you want to do the backup stuff, or to just copy that content of the files. The key concepts here is these quick links on the left, how they map to the file stored on the PC. If you go here to this PC, it's going to display the drives that exist on this PC, but also if you are working on a network, you'd see also the network drives. And those network drives typically will be mapped like in the particular letters like F or K or J or M drive, or it depends on how the system administrators have set them up. But this is how you access your storage on your PC and then the files within that PC. Typically, these options here, the first 4 or 5, are typically by default in your PC. Now, let's say that there is a specific folder that I'm working on, but I want this to show up all the time here on the left. So let's say I want the favorites to be showing up here on the left, or I want my music folder to show up on the left. You can right-click on that folder and then choose to pin it to quick access. That will place it in there. And notice music now. Anytime we open File Explorer, it's going to display a link here for the music folder. So you can do that for any component or any common folders that you constantly use. There's also the option to drag that over there and that. Now, working with folders, I find that most users don't fully understand working with files. Let's say I wanted to create a new folder here. If I click on New up here, I can choose to create a new shortcut or a new folder and a new bunch of other stuff here. But for now, I want to create just a new folder. So I click on New and then choose Folder, and then I have the name of the folder, and then you hit Enter. To move a file into this folder, I can do it a couple ways. Let's say I have this file right here, and I want to move it over here. I can simply drag it, and then it will put it in that folder. Drag and drop, it's great as long as you're precise in it. There's a danger in a drag and drop because sometimes you may drop a file in the wrong place. So the best thing to move files around is by simply selecting them. If there are more than one, then you can simply either select all of them or select just a few of them, or you can hold the Control key and select random ones, or you can click on the first one, hold down the Shift key, and then select a few of them. And then at this point, notice that you can use these options up here. By the way, Microsoft in Windows 11 changed this, so we can cut these, and then we are going to move them somewhere else. So this is the safer way to move files around. Or you can also right-click and then choose here the options. Notice this changed as well in Windows 11, these icons. It doesn't say cut anymore or copy unless you hold the mouse on it. Click on Cut here, and now I go back navigating to the top folder here, or I can go to the left and use the navigation on the left. And then let's say I want to paste those files in here. I can either right-click and choose the option to paste. Notice again the word is missing, but you have the icon here to paste, or you have the paste icon on the top. These may be very basic concepts, but it's really necessary to work effectively in the workplace. Now, one of the needs that I also find the users are not very familiar with in any version of Windows is how to create a compressed file, or a zip file as it's called. So let's say I have here this Word 2019 folder, and it has a bunch of stuff in there. Now let's say I want to send that to somebody in a compressed format because it has a lot of stuff in it. To create a zip folder or a zip file, all you have to do is right-click on it, click on Compress to Zip File. Now the terminology here in Windows 11 has changed. So we click here on Create a Zip File. It's going to do its thing, and it's actually putting all of these files, including the folder and potentially subfolders, into one single file for you to send away. Notice it says it's a zip folder. It has a zip little icon thingy here, and that's what you'd need to send. But you're sending one compressed package. Typically, for large zip files, it's best, instead of emailing them, to maybe share them either using OneDrive or Google Drive or some kind of cloud file sharing platform. Most systems are not going to deliver for emails that contain zip files for security reasons. Now, let's say that I received this file. Typically, with a zip file, you also need to extract those files. Notice there's an option for extract all items in this folder. Or you can right-click on it and choose to extract all, and that's a necessary process for any zip files for you to do on your end. Obviously, you need to do this only when you're completely sure from a safe sender. Notice it's going to, by default, extract it in the same folder that we had it. However, you can change it to a different folder. You press extract, and all those files at this point will be displayed in here. Notice it creates a new folder matching the zip folder, and under that, then there are the actual files. The context menus for the File Explorer in Windows 11 have changed. Notice first the rounded corners, the visual look and feel, and then these options have been kind of rearranged and the icons have changed. Notice here that the most commonly used functions don't contain the words anymore. More options. This will bring more of the old look and feel from Windows 10, and that's how it used to actually look. Finally, as you're accessing files, in some cases there might be a need for you to track down hidden files in your computer. There are certain places that the files are stored, and you just need to make sure to kind of get to them or view them or do something with them. So, and one common area is, for example, if we go here under the users folder, we go under this account, my profile account. Notice that by default you see maybe 10 or 12 different folders in here. However, there are files and folders in there that are actually hidden by default. And to view those files and folders, simply going here under View, we scroll down under Show, and then we choose here the Show Hidden Files or Unshow Hidden Files. And notice now, under App Data, you'll have this displayed. So if you have a Windows PC with a network connection, a wired connection, obviously you simply take the wired connection, and provided the port on the wall is active, you simply plug it in and you should be able to connect to the internet. If you have a wireless laptop or a wireless device with Windows 11 and you want to connect to a network, whether at home or at your business, in the bottom right here you'll see a globe with a little arrow like this. So you'll need to click in this area, it doesn't matter which area, and it's going to bring up quick settings. Notice that currently the Wi-Fi is not turned on, so I can click here to turn it on, and notice now it's blue. So typically this has to be blue. It has kind of changed in Windows 11. And once this is blue for the wireless connection, that means that it's on and available to view the wireless networks. And then we need to click here on this right arrow to click on the wireless connections. And then you pick the connection in your area or from your business. Typically the ones that have a lock in there, that means that there's a passphrase, and you'd need to know the passphrase typically on your own router, print it out from the internet provider, or in a business it might be a shared password through the IT department, or in a lot of cases it's upon login. Click on the network connection and then you press connect. It will prompt you to enter it. If it doesn't need a password, in this case I was connected before, that's why it didn't prompt me, then it will remember those settings. Under this little icon here, you can also check additional properties related to the wireless network. To get to these settings, obviously, you can go to the settings area and Windows search, and then choose Wi-Fi settings, and then choose Show Wireless Networks, and this is where you pick to connect to another network. So that's another way to manage the wireless network and connect to the network. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to connect to the internet. This is really very basic, but it's one of the aspects of learning about an operating system, particularly if you're not sure how this is done. Once you have connected your computer to the network, in a wired way or a wireless way, and for the wireless, by the way, refer to the tutorial on connecting to a wireless network. Once you have done that, typically you need to use a browser. Now the default browser, and it's included in Windows 11, is Microsoft Edge. This is typically based on a Chrome background platform, but it's very efficient. Now, of course, other browsers are also Google Chrome, Firefox, and other ones such as Brave, which is a recent one based on Chrome as well, but for more privacy. Notice that you have a search box here on the bottom, and then you have an address bar on the top. On the top, that's where you type your URL. Now that can search also. So if you type in here, if you type Caselli tutorials, notice you'll get a lot of other stuff in there and it'll perform a search. That's because the address bar on the top acts as both a navigation tool and also a search tool. They are combined into one. Now, a lot of users, they search in this area here, this search box. So whenever you're typing in here Caselli.com, for example, that is actually not going to take you directly to the website. You're just searching as part of the default search that the startup page has. So it's going to give you a lot of different options here, but not necessarily take you there directly. So my suggestion to be effective and to know how this is done, you just type what you want to type on the top part and not the second part. The other thing to consider here for the web browsers, and I'm not going to get into too many details, the other thing is to go and check the settings and modify the settings in your browser. So you'd click on these icons here on the top, and you'd go under Settings, and then here is where you can change whether it's the privacy, whether it's the appearance, look and feel of your browser. Starting page, this is where you can set a new page. So for example, if I want to always start with a new page here, and that new page should be Caselli.com, that's how I simply add it in here. Now that I changed the default start page, notice that once I open it up again, it'll take me just to that website that I configured it earlier. One of the tools that I find useful is also here under the settings, and then which is the three dots up here, and then under more tools, there is this option also to cast this to a device to connect to a remote display. Windows 11 has a new feature called widgets. Here in the taskbar, it's one of the main icons added by default. You click on widgets, and you'll be able to see particular ones that the Microsoft has already put in there by default for you. However, you can customize those widgets by using the More Options item here, and you can make this large or medium or remove it completely. You can go and add new ones, pick the items that you want to add, and then you can further come in here and customize them, the size and other options related to them. How to shut down the computer in Windows 11. This might seem like a very easy and simple step. To shut down or reboot the computer, you simply go here under the Start menu, and then you click on the power icon in the bottom right. From here, you can select the shutdown option or the restart option. Obviously, the restart option, but clear everything from the memory. If the computer is running into a problem, it is highly recommended that you first reboot the computer before you get too frustrated with the problem that you are running into. When you put the computer in sleep mode, it's not closing the programs, it's keeping everything the way you had them before, but just conserving energy and putting things to sleep. The hibernate mode is actually more effective in saving battery life on your laptop, but it takes a little bit longer in order for it to start up. if you have a solid-state drive, the hibernate mode probably is the better option for conserving battery. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to install the Windows updates and keep the computer up to date. We go here under the Windows search, or press the Windows key and then type Windows Update. Notice that there are some updates here. We simply press Install Now, and the updates will be installed in the computer. The other thing to remember is that you can pause Windows updates if you don't want the computer to be restarted during business hours, or you want to pause them for a week and so on. This is where you can change those settings. If you want to look at the history of updates, you can click on Windows Updates History, and it will show you what has been installed in the computer. Further down here under Advanced Options, you can also choose to install the updates at certain hours of the day or at certain times. You can choose when to receive the Windows updates. And also, here's another option that you might want to consider under optional updates. Sometimes there are driver software for your PC or non-crucial updates for your PC that might be helpful. But it is important to keep your PC up to date, whatever version of Windows you have, for security reasons, for better performance of your PC, and sometimes additional functionality as well. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to customize the look and feel of Windows 11. There are a couple ways you can do the changing of the look and feel. You can right-click from the desktop here and then choose Personalize. And then under Personalize, you can change and pick here various themes. So let's say I want to utilize this one. It will adjust all the colors and everything related to that Windows theme. So I'm going to revert it back for now. If you want to further just customize certain things, for example, the desktop settings, if you wanted to change the sounds or change the defaults or the cursor and so on, this is where you do it as well. Now, to change the font size of your icons and components of Windows, right-click here on the desktop and then choose Display Settings. Now, I'm showing you this from the desktop functionality. However, you can also search for it and just simply choose here Display Settings. And then under the scaling here, you can change this so that it can be larger fonts and larger icons, or smaller if you prefer, and screen orientation and things of that nature. How to customize the Windows 11 settings. Just like with any other operating system, there is typically a need to go and modify particular settings in the computer or in that particular device. So think of it like if you have an iPhone and you go to the settings area, you can modify a variety of things, whether it's for the apps or the look and feel and the privacy and things like that regarding your device. So the same thing here as well. You can go under the search option to get to settings, and this would be the easiest one. You can press the Windows key on the keyboard, or you press the search option here and then simply type in here settings. That's the quickest way to get to it. Once you click on settings, notice that this is actually a major improvement in Windows 11. While in Windows 10 you had settings that had the old look and feel to them, in Windows 11 Microsoft did a really outstanding work on restructuring them, making sense, and also visually appealing as well. So at the very top here you have the option about the system. So you can change system-related settings, such as changing, for example, the name of your computer, the updates about the computer. And obviously under the system settings, you can change settings related to the display, the sound, notifications, power, storage, anything that is system related. As far as devices and so on, you can click on that and you'll be able to customize settings related to any devices connected to your computer. and the same under network and so on. Then personalization. This is where you change the themes and the look and feel of your operating system. And then under apps, this is where you can click and choose default features or even and uninstall various applications in your computer. So this is where you can add and remove programs from your computer. Now, if for some reason you need to delete an application to remove it, notice that this has changed in Windows 11, and you can click here on the three dots on the far right or in the configuration icon on the far right and then choose to uninstall it from here. Additionally, you have the gaming settings and also privacy settings and Windows Update. So all of that to say that very similar to an iPhone or a smartphone where you can change and customize the settings about that device, the same idea is here as well. You can also search here for a particular setting. Let's say you're not sure where disk cleanup is located. You can still search for it. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I will demonstrate how to customize the privacy settings in Windows 11. So you go here in the Start menu or in the Windows Search, either one of them, and we type here Privacy Settings. Notice on the left you'll have Privacy and Security. And then you can change other stuff related to security as well, but in our case here, we are concerned primarily about the privacy settings. So you can go here under General, and you might want to turn off a lot of these options. Then we go back here under Privacy, and you're not done yet, by the way. You go here under the Speech Settings, and then you change also the speech settings to change those to off. Basically, you're not sending the speech patterns or whatever you say be stored externally from your PC. Then you can go down under the inking and typing personalization. You can turn off also the dictionary and certain terms and words that you type on the soft keyboard so that those are not stored outside of your PC. Additionally, you go under the diagnostic and feedback, and you want to potentially turn all of these off, and then under the feedback frequency, so basically put the most minimum that it allows you to put in there. Of course, take note of what you're turning off so that just in case something happens, you'd come back to them. If you go under the activity history, you can choose to turn that off as well. You can clear the privacy setting there. Then you can go under the search permissions. This is probably what you want to do for the safety of kids or the moderate search. This has to do with the web content that is it's going to display in your computer. As far as the cloud search content and so on, you can turn these off as well if you prefer more privacy. Under location, notice that there are also app permissions such as location, and this is very similar to like if you have an iPhone, you can control what apps can access your location and things like that. It's very similar to that here as well. You're just going here and then identifying which apps have access to your location settings, and you can change this by default or you can clear that history. The same is with camera and microphone. However, for camera and microphone, I'd be cautious on turning things off from here. For example, if you're turning this off from Skype from here, or the camera, you're not allowing it to turn on, you're not allowing it at all for a specific app, when you go to use that app, you'll most likely have problems with using the camera or the microphone. So I'd be very cautious on turning off the camera settings. Voice activation, keep these off. For the particular, for Cortana or keywords, this would be like Apple has Hey Siri, Windows, if you have this option on, it's always listening for the word Cortana. In this module, I will demonstrate how to use the Action Center or Quick Settings Center in Windows 11. Typically here in the taskbar on the far right of the desktop, we have these options. This is an area, a listing of items or functions that you can quickly access. Anything in blue, that's active. Anything that is not in blue, that's not activated at this point. We can change the display here. You can change the sound settings and so on, and volume settings, and you can go under more volume and so on. Now notice that there is also an edit icon in here, and we can add additional items to the quick settings area. Wish Microsoft would actually have added these additional settings by default. So we click here on add, and let's say I want the cast option so that I can connect to a remote display easily. Let's say I also want the night light option. I want the nearby sharing and also the project option. Then I click on done. Now those options will be available at any point by simply clicking anywhere in here and then selecting that particular option for quick access. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to change the default printer or how to set up the default printer in Windows 11. By default in Windows 11, the Windows determines as to which printer becomes the default. So to set the default printer, we go here under the search menu, and then we type printers. We go to printers and scanners, and then the first option that we want to change, to scroll down here below the list of printers and turn off the option for letting Windows manage it. Once we have turned off the option for Windows to manage the printer, then we go to the particular printer that we want and then click on it, and then this button will show up for making it as a default. And notice here at this point it will state default. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to connect to the Windows 11 Store. Think of the Windows 11 Store as the App Store if you have an iPhone, or the Google Store if you have an Android phone. So to access the App Store, you click on the Windows, Start, or on the Search, and then you can simply search for Store, or you just click on the Microsoft Store. These are basically third-party apps, or sometimes from Microsoft, or third-party apps that you are adding onto your PC to increase its functionality. Now, there is also in Windows 11 functionality or the option for you to be able to install Android apps as well, and you do that primarily through the Amazon App Store. So here, if we wanted an app installed, whether it's Netflix or WhatsApp or whatever it is, the apps here, you simply click on it, and then sometimes you might have to pay additional fee for it, sometimes may not. You can check the ratings, you can check the description, and so on. And if you decide to install it, then you can simply click on Get. It will associate the app with your Microsoft account. You'll need to enter your Microsoft account, log in, and it's basically going to be very similar to an app store from Apple or from Google in smartphones. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to change your Windows password. There are a couple ways to change it. If you're working in a corporate environment and you're connected to a network, then obviously you change the password through the tools that the IT department has set up for you. However, in most cases, even if it's a network account, you can change your Windows password by simply pressing Ctrl-Alt-Delete in your computer, and then a prompt like this will come up, and then you can click here on Change Password, and then you can put in your old password, the new password, and confirm the new password as well. And this is the quickest and easiest way to change the password. The other options are also under the search. If we go here to search and then change password, we have more clicks that are involved in this step through this procedure, but you'd still reach to the same conclusion. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to lock your computer if you're going to step away from your desk for a few minutes or for the rest of the day. This is a very good practice to do to get into the custom of doing, and obviously this is for security and maintaining your privacy and the security of your files. So you can be on any application that you're working on, and at any point that you want to lock your computer, you simply can press the Windows key and the letter L on the keyboard. And then it will bring you back to this option. So it's basically going to bring you to the login screen again. When you're ready to come back and start working again, you can simply hit any keys on the keyboard, enter your password, and then you're back to everything that you had on your computer. If you want to do it using the Windows option, the Windows Start menu, that option is located under the Start here. And then you click on your account, and typically you would click on your account, and there will be an option for a lock here under your account. For some reason, it's not displaying that at this point while I'm recording, and I guess it has to do because I just locked it, came back, and I'm having still the recorder on. In this segment of the Windows 11 tutorial, I will go over the Windows security settings and how to check your computer for viruses and malware. Windows 11 actually comes packaged with its own security suite and firewall tools as well. To get to those tools, we need to go to one of the ways to get there is to open the Start menu or the search window and then search for Windows Security. We go to Security Settings, and here it's going to give us a preview of actions that are necessary in your computer, things that are okay in your computer. So now to customize those settings, click here on Open Windows Security, and then we can set up OneDrive if we prefer to. This is not really a necessity. This is basically Microsoft pushing OneDrive and also trying to make sure that you're backing up your files online on the cloud and not necessarily lose them at some point in time. Then under the Account Protect login here with the Microsoft account, on the left-hand side, we have here the firewall and network protection. Notice that no action is needed at this point, but you can go and click on it and check various firewall rules and advanced settings and customize those firewall settings if you prefer. Under the App and Browser Control, this can block unwanted apps, and currently it's turned off. You'd want to make sure it's turned on, and you put in your password, and it will enable it for you. Under the Device Security, there are additional settings behind the scenes here that it's utilizing. Such as the single core isolation, the security of the processor level. And so if we go here under virus and threat protection on the left hand side, this is where we can run a scan on your computer. You can do a quick scan. In my case, it took 2 minutes and 31 seconds, or you can change those scan options and do a full scan, a custom scan, and once you pick the type of scan that you want, you click on Scan Now, and it may take quite a bit of time if you have a lot of files and you choose the full scan option. As the files are scanned, typically it's going to show you the results and things it has found and things that you need to correct or to allow, and all you need to do is basically proceed with a positive way to remove them or apply what Microsoft determines as. You can also check here for protection history, what has taken place at certain points in time, and it's basically a log of the activity from the scanning software. So all that to say that under the Security Center, the Windows Security, you have a virus and firewall protection. There is also the account protection. There is the firewall and network protection aspect, the browser level protection, device security at the component level in the computer, and then also device health. Under the Windows security, here it's important to note that there are also family options here. You can set it up to protect the kids' screen time habits. So you can set time for kids, how long they can use the devices and so on. To do that, you'd go under View Family Settings, and you'd have to configure it using your Microsoft account, and basically all the devices are connecting to a Microsoft account, and then Microsoft is managing that time and the settings that you have configured for your family. In this module of the Windows 11, I'll demonstrate how to connect and extend your display to a second display device in Windows 11. This comes in handy if you have a second monitor or a TV where you want to project to, or if you want to connect to a projector in a classroom or in a business meeting. So typically, as soon as you connect a second monitor to your PC, by default, the content from your main PC to the second one will be mirrored. That's referred to as a mirrored display. Now, to connect to a projector, you can press the Windows key on the keyboard and then P, the letter P on the keyboard, and this will bring up this menu. So you can currently I have only one monitor here connected to this system, but if I had a second one, I could duplicate this screen, and typically by default it will be duplicated as soon as you connect a second screen. However, the function that you want to use is the Extend Desktop. That will make it so that you can move the mouse from one screen to the other and open one application in one screen and another application in the other screen as well. And to do that, you simply click on the Extend Display option here. Now, of course, I'm recording this, and it's not as easy to replicate it to show what happens, but you basically just see the second desktop, and we can move the mouse to it. And the way you get to this is by pressing the Windows key and then letter P. Now, if for some reason you don't remember the Windows key and then P for project there, one of the things that you can do is click on the search icon and then just type extend. You want to extend the desktop, or you can do the word duplicate. And click here on duplicate or extend desktop display, and it will give you the options to modify for multiple displays and so on. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to cast or connect to an external device, or a remote monitor, or a remote TV, or a remote Windows PC. Windows 11 has the functionality to connect to a remote display, and you can do that by simply pressing the Windows key and then the letter K. And then this will bring up the cast option here. Now you can simply click on it, and then it will connect to the remote device. To get to this, in case you don't remember the Windows key and then K, you can go here under the search option and then just choose cast. And then you have the option here to connect to a wireless display, and then you'll click on connect. And it's going to bring you back to the same option that we had. One other option is that you can go here under the quick action items on the bottom. You can click on any of those icons in here on the bottom. At the bottom, you can choose to add other functionality. For example, nearby sharing, you can enable it, or casting, or projection, to add the project icon so that you can always access it easily. Add it once and then you're done. Then when you go in the future, you click here on the quick actions. Instead of having to do Control K or Windows and then P, you just have the option to cast or to project from here. Because I'm recording a tutorial, I can't demonstrate the mirroring of it with a connection, but that should work. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to connect to a Windows PC and mirror the screen from an Android device. Windows 11 has the capability to allow other devices to connect to it to mirror the screen from the remote device to the Windows 11 device, and that is done using the projection tool in combination with the connect tool. This is typically done using Miracast connection, which is a Microsoft technology available through Android devices as well. For this to work, the devices have to be on the same wireless network and also support the Miracast connection. So the way to do this is basically you go to the Windows Start and then you go search for projection. You go here under projection settings, and then you need to enable these options very similar to here. So we want to make sure that to allow this from everywhere for Windows and Android devices to project to this PC when you say it's okay. So you'd have to approve it basically, but yet you're making your computer available. Availability is for you to connect both from an Android device or a Windows PC. The next option that you want to make sure is that every time a connection is requested, for you to be approving the connection. And then the third one is for you to provide a PIN. You can say never to this. As soon as you confirm it, they will be able to connect. Or you can just give them a PIN every time to connect. It's up to you, but you'd have to give that user then the PIN for them in order to project to your PC, to mirror their screen to the PC. Once you're ready, by the way, there is additional help options down here in the bottom as well. But once you are ready for you to allow somebody to connect to your PC, you'd basically click here to launch the Connect app. That is making your computer available for somebody to connect. It's making their computer discoverable in the network to connect. Now on the Android devices, and unfortunately I cannot simulate it here, you're going to need to go to settings and select one of the options. Obviously, in Android, most devices differ from one to the other. Some of them use the word cast, broadcasting the screen. Some others use the word mirror. Others use the word connect. So you might have to look through the settings, but you want to find the setting to connect, to mirror your screen to another device. It's important to note that this function will not work on Apple devices. So once you're ready here to allow a connection, you click on Launch the Connect app to project to this PC, and then it's ready. So as soon as they are able to connect, you'll be able to see the content or mirror of their screen. On their devices, they will need to choose to connect to a remote device. So they'll have to use the cast option. And if they are using a PC, they'll need to use the cast option, which is Windows K on the keyboard, or connect to a remote display. Or on an Android device, they'll have to use the connect or mirror option, depending on the Android model. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to use the Windows Snap feature. This is enhanced in Windows 11, and it's actually very powerful. Particularly, it's useful with larger monitors nowadays and more convenient as well. So let's say I have this application. I have Word here, and then I also have PowerPoint. And I have only one monitor, but I want to use those side by side. So the easiest way is if I go here on the top right under the maximize, minimize icon, notice that there are these different layouts that are available, and this is new. You hold the mouse on it, on the maximize, minimize, and now let's say that I want to put this application on the left half of the screen. I simply click on it, it will put my PowerPoint on the left half of the screen. Now I go back to my Word document and do the same thing, but I want to put it in the second half of the screen. But now let's say that I want a third application to have on the right-hand side as well, but split the right half into two parts. So I could do that this way. I can go and pick something this layout with 3 components to it, and then let's say I want also Microsoft Edge here. And in Microsoft Edge, I want to put that in the bottom right. Now this works well to navigate it, particularly if you have a large monitor or a TV and you want to have different apps as part of that navigation without having to switch from one to the other. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to remove unwanted applications from your computer. Typically, when you buy even a new computer, there might be applications that you really don't want and you just want to speed up the computer and remove them. Get to see what applications are installed in the computer. You can access it a couple ways. You can go here on the search option and then just type apps. So you click on add and remove programs, and here it will list all the various programs that are installed in this computer. Now, to remove one of those programs, I go here to Camtasia, I click on the more options, and I can choose to modify it or uninstall it. Modify, it's going to simply select new parameters for the reinstallation of the application. Typically, it's not very useful. Typically, you want to use the option to uninstall. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to adjust the sound settings and sound volume in Windows 11. For some reason, this function has become more complicated in this version of Windows. In the past, we'd go here under Sound and we could just go and change. Now, as we click on that icon for the sound and volume, notice it brings us the Action Center. The Action Center here, one of the options is the sound. So if we click on the little arrow on the far right, this is where we can change which speakers to use. There are additional settings here as well that we can adjust as far as the sound goes. We can get to this settings also by going here under Search menu and then just typing Sound Settings. One other option is by right-clicking. If you scroll down, if you move the mouse to the sound icon and right-click on it and choose to open the volume mixer or the sound settings. In this module, I'll demonstrate how to use a task manager to troubleshoot problems in Windows 11. Task Manager used to be part of the taskbar in the past. So you typically right-click on the taskbar and then it would be an option for Task Manager. However, that's no longer available there. You can access a Task Manager by either simply searching for it under the Start menu or Windows Search. If you right-click on the Start menu, there is also the option to click on Task Manager from here, and then it's going to take us typically to something like this. For the first time, unless you change it, it's going to be something like this. So this is going to list the applications that are running. However, if you want to see additional details as far as what's running in the system, what processing is taking place, and so on, then you can click here on More Details, and you'll be able to see the processes that are currently running in the PC. A lot of times, if the PC is really running, the fans are running really loud, and there is typically an issue with the PC or one of the applications in the computer, and you want to kind of stop that application. Identify it and stop it. Now, to identify what application is causing the issue, notice in my case here, the CPU utilization is 26%, around 26 to 27%. So something is using it, because typically it should be about 4 to 7%. You can identify the program that is causing the high utilization by clicking here on the CPU utilization, and we want to sort it by highest to lowest. So in my case, notice that the Camtasia recorder is the one that is taking most of the processing power. Obviously, that's because I'm doing this video tutorial at this point. But if it was something else that I don't need it to be running right now, or it was unnecessary, then I could simply click on it and then click on End Task. And so basically, let's assume this is the process that's taking most of the CPU. You simply click on it and then you choose End Task, and it's going to close that process. In some cases, it may not be just the CPU that is slowing down your system. In some cases, it may be certain apps that are taking most of the memory. So you can go here and do the same thing with the memory to identify what's taking most of the memory in your computer. Other times, it may be that the disk utilization is struggling, and that's how you can identify that you have a problem with the speed of your disk. Here you can also identify how the processor or different components are doing over a period of time. So if we click here on the CPU, you'll be able to identify the usage under the memory usage, the solid-state drives or the drives, Wi-Fi, and graphics card, and so on. Now, one of the things under the Performance tab that comes in very handy is also this Resource Monitor. This is going in depth and looking at as to what's happening behind the scenes, whether it's the processor usage, what process, how much, what actual thread is utilizing a certain service, and which potential service is causing the issues in the system. So notice you can do it disk-based. So let's say here, notice that my antivirus software is using quite a bit of the read-write data at this point in the PC. And the way you find out what each one of these is, you can either Google search them, or there is a way that you can also find the file location in your PC, but probably searching through Google is probably the best option. Now, once you're in Resource Monitor, notice that there are also, that was the overview, but you can go at various levels, like at the CPU level, memory level, disk level, or network level. Now, there is also the app history here that you can kind of check and see what's causing the usage. This is very similar to an iPhone app history. Under the startup, this is really helpful as well, because let's say you're not using OneDrive in your computer and you want to disable the applications on startup. So here I can just simply go to OneDrive and choose to disable this so it doesn't start up when the computer starts up at the beginning of each day or whenever you reboot it. Additionally, there are other details here and other services that are configured and running and so on, and those are a little bit more advanced, so you don't want to turn off something from here unless you know what you're doing. Another way to get to the Task Manager is by pressing Ctrl-Alt-Delete, and then you choose Task Manager, and that will take you to the same location. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to enable the gaming mode in Windows 11 as part of this Windows 11 tutorial. Gaming mode is a new functionality in Windows 11. And to enable it, you can go here to the Start menu or the Search menu and then simply start typing Gaming Mode. And notice you have Gaming Mode Settings. It will take you to the Gaming Mode area. You can go ahead and enable this, turn this on. As you're enabling gaming mode, you really shouldn't have to touch the graphics settings area, but that's just in case you're tech savvy enough to know what to change and how to set it. But typically you just enable this, and then you can learn more about this. It's basically going to state here that it's going to disable certain functionality while the gaming mode is turned to on. So basically it prevents the Windows Update from installing updates and sending restart notifications, and it's kind of adjust also the frame rate so that you get the optimal settings for your game. If you are into gaming and considering buying a gaming laptop or a desktop, the graphics card is the key component that you want to focus on. So besides the processor and the solid-state drive in your PC, one of the key aspects is to get a high-powered graphics card with 4 or 6 or 8 gigabytes of dedicated graphics card memory. You'll know whether you have a dedicated graphics card if you go to Task Manager here and you go under Performance and then you scroll down. If it's going to say anything Intel, that's typically the built-in graphics card. That's not going to typically do it, but if you have a graphics card like this, NVIDIA or AMD, that's going to display how much memory it has dedicated for the GPU, for the graphics card processing. So anything 4 or above, it's optimal. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll explain some of the concepts related to Focus Assist. It's a new feature in Windows 11. It was also introduced late in Windows 10. Focus Assist, it's one of the features that allows you, like the name states, for you to focus. It's designed for you to focus on your work and not be bothered by alerts while you are working. The settings can be controlled very easily from the control center. So if we go here in the bottom right and click on the control center, there is this option here, Focus Assist. By default, all notifications are going to be popping up on your computer depending on whatever it is you have allowed. To change those settings, you can click here on the next option to priority only. So this will allow only priority alerts to be displayed, and you'll not be bugged while you're working on a particular project. You can also choose only alarms. The alarms would be, let's say, meeting notifications or meeting reminders. Now, as far as figuring those settings, you can go under the search area, go under the Focus Assist, and this is where we can change the settings. So you can have automatic rules that you can set. If you're duplicating your display, it's going to display only the alarms, but not necessarily other alerts that you might be getting from chats, from chat applications, and that would not be a good thing if you want to project it to a meeting. But you can display and customize so that only certain settings are displayed, like connecting to a secondary display or duplicating the display, or if you're playing a game, what should happen, what alerts would come up. You can also prioritize the settings from here. You can hide all notifications at particular times, and you can set the working hours or specific times of the day where certain actions are allowed or notifications are allowed or disallowed. In this session of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to access the command line terminal for Windows 11. Sometimes you may need to run applications manually or just check settings or check things manually in your computer. So you can either go under the search option here and then type the word command, and it will take you to the command prompt. And this basically will allow you to access files or to run specific commands, or let's say find the IP address, specific settings in your computer. So this is the command prompt option. There is also the option to access the Windows terminal. Windows terminal, it actually uses the Windows PowerShell, which allows you, it's one of the newer ways of managing settings in a PC and running particular commands in a PC. So you could search for this by going to the search option here and searching for Windows PowerShell, and it will get you to the same item, or you can right click and choose Windows Terminal. For a lot of the functions, you might need to run it as an admin equivalent for being able to execute specific commands in your PC. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'll demonstrate how to add an application manually to Windows Startup. For some reason, this feature in Windows 11, it's more complicated than it needs to be. I'll demonstrate how to do this manually. To do this, first we need to be able to run the run command. So unlike going up here and doing the search, we need to either be in command line or in the terminal mode, or go here and right click on the desktop and choose run. It will bring us the old run command like in Windows 7 or Windows 10. You can also access this by pressing the Windows key and R, and that will get you the run command as well. Now at this point we need to type in there shell : startup, and then we hit enter. This will bring us to the location where we can place specific programs that we want to open on startup. So in this case, we can keep this window open on the left-hand side. And then we can go to our File Explorer and then open a new session of the File Explorer. Now from here, we need to go to, let's say, to the programs, wherever that particular program is located. So program files here. And let's say I want this program called Handbrake, which is video editing program. And I want this to start up every time upon boot up of the computer. At this point, I can right click on this and then drag it to the left, and it's going to create a link to it in the startup. And I click here to create a shortcut on this area. So again, that was right clicking, so finding initially where the program is located, right clicking on it, dragging it over, and then choosing to create a shortcut. Not copying it, because then we are copying the whole program. We are just creating a shortcut in order to launch that specific program. You can do this also with other applications. So let's say here we are in the All Apps area. So let's say I want one of my apps here to open up automatically upon boot up. So let's say I want Firefox to be one of those programs. So I can right click here and choose more, and then find the file location. So this is where the file is actually residing. The executable for this program is residing in the PC. Now from here, again, I right click it and then create a shortcut, and now both of these programs will open up every time automatically once I reboot Windows 11. In this module of the Windows 11 tutorial, I'm going to demonstrate how to reset your PC. Resetting your PC may be necessary if your computer got infected with a virus, or something is not working well in your PC and you just need to go back. The other option is that you can reset your PC when you're selling it or giving it away, and you want to wipe everything out. So this video is going to demonstrate how to do that as well. So to get to the Reset This PC option, we just simply search here under the Windows settings and search for Reset PC. At this point, we have 4 options. One of the things is that we can fix issues without resetting the PC. So this can take a while. You can just click on it. It's going to run a troubleshooter for specific items, and it will notify you what the issues with your PC are. So I would suggest that you try this first. The other thing to try if you're having problems with your PC is to go back to a previous date and time and try that first. This is like if something is not working for a particular version of Windows, you can go back to a previous version of Windows by clicking on Go Back here. You'd enter your password, provided it prompts you. It's going to give you times and dates when you want to go back to. Now in this case, it's prompting us, well, before you go back, why don't we check for updates first? That's something probably good to do. Sometimes there are drivers, there's fixes that can be applied to the PC, but for now I'll say no. In your case, you probably would want to say yes before you do this. Then we click here Next, and then it's making sure that we can sign in again, and then it's prompting us to go back to Windows 10. In this case, I had updated from Windows 10 to Windows 11. This is going back to a previous version of Windows. The other option is to reset this PC. Resetting the PC, there will be 2 options here. We can reset it keeping the files, or we can reset it and remove everything. To keep the files, if you choose this option is best if you're infected with a virus and you want to just keep your files, your personal files, and reinstall all your programs. Remember, this is going to need for your programs to be reinstalled. So if you had Microsoft Office loaded in your computer, or your business management software loaded in your computer, you'd have to reload these programs all over again. So this will remove the apps and settings, and it will keep your personal files. My suggestion, even in this case, is that if you have access to the files, consider also backing up the files first, just in case. Back them up to an external flash drive, to an external drive, or to a to a cloud storage service such as Google Drive or OneDrive. So here you click on this, it says it's not going to take very long, and then it says, well, how do you want to download your next version of Windows? Let's say I want to download it from the cloud because we don't have the local install, and you'd click on next and just follow the prompts from there. Now, if you are resetting this computer or selling it, then you can remove everything. It will remove all your personal files, the apps and settings and so on. This process, it's going to prompt us a couple times here, and I'm not going to do it, obviously. Choose the installed version of Windows, and then you'd click on next, and then it's going to confirm that we really want to delete the files on your PC. And obviously, if you really want to do it, you'll approve it, and then proceed with a reload. This is a clean install. This is not going to retain anything. This is the safest thing, the last thing for a virus, provided you don't need your files or you have backed up your files. The process, it's going to take anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, depending on how fast your computer is, what the storage is in your, what type of hard drive you have in your PC. During the reinstall of Windows and the cleaning of the PC, there's also going to be an option to erase the drive and access to the files permanently. You probably want to select that option if you are selling your computer or giving it away. That's going to basically write a bunch of zeros across the whole drive so that somebody cannot recover your files that you had deleted. If for some reason you need to create a bootable flash drive as well, so you'd go to this website, microsoft.com, en-english/software download /Windows 11. From here you can either get the latest version of Windows 11 and download it manually and run a new upgrade or update in your PC, or you can scroll down and create here a bootable flash drive, a bootable USB or DVD drive. In this video, I'll demonstrate how to enable TPM in a Hyper-V machine is hosting a Windows 10 machine. The reason we want to do this is because we want to upgrade to Windows 11, and by default in Windows 11 the installation wizard is going to fail unless the TPM module is enabled in the virtual machine. So here's my Hyper-V and also my desktop that I have currently running with Windows 10. Now we go here to the actual machine. I have this off, currently in the off state. We right click, we choose settings. Once we are in settings, then we can go here to the security and we choose to enable the enable trusted platform module. Then we click OK. At this point we're all set with the process, and now we can fire up the machine and upgrade this to Windows 11. In this module I'll demonstrate how to use sticky notes in Windows 11. Sticky notes is just an add-on tool, or actually a tool that comes with Windows 11, but it's useful for reminders and similar to post-it notes on your desk. To access sticky notes, you simply go to the Start menu here and just type sticky notes. Once it opens up, typically it may even prompt you to connect to a Microsoft account, and if so, then just simply log into it. At this point, you can simply take a note. You can use the new note on the top here and simply type, and that's it. Now you can close this and you have various notes all over your desktop, and you can customize those, and once you're done with them, you can simply delete them or close them. Instead of waiting for Microsoft to send us the update to Windows 11, we can do the upgrade manually. And we can simply go here to Microsoft.com. And we go here to Microsoft.com/en-english/software-download/Windows 11. From here, we can download the Windows 11 installation assistant, or we can create a media. Now we click here on download now for the assistant. This is going to run a health check as well as part of it. At this point in my case, it says it does not meet the requirements to install Windows 11, and most likely that's because I have only 2 gigabytes of memory assigned to this virtual machine. So to find out what the issue is, we can click here on PC Health Check app. I ran the PC Health Check here. So if I click here on Check Now, it says all results. It says good news, TPM 2.0 has been enabled, and it requires at least 4 gigs of memory enabled to it. Then you scroll down here and it meets all the other requirements. Now, since the health check passes, then we can go ahead and run the Windows 11 installation assistant. Go ahead and double click on it. Then we press accept and install. And then we'll just have to wait for this process to complete. Now at this point it's installing, so we just need to leave the machine on and keep on waiting for the installation to complete. Now once the installation is complete, it's prompting us to reboot the computer. So we're going to choose to restart it now. And at this point it's finishing the installation. Now the upgrade is almost finished. It's bringing us to the login screen. And at this point the upgrade has been completed and we are all good to go. So notice we have the start menu here on the bottom and all that good stuff. So I'll just reboot it, restart it. And there we are. So that's how we were able to upgrade to Windows 11 from Windows 10 manually using the Windows 11 Upgrade Assistant.